If you haven't heard of Shamima Begum, she's the young Muslim who claimed the murder of dozens of children at an Ariana Grande concert was justified, who gloated at the kafar being beheaded, and who ran off to join ISIS, where she sewed bombs into suicide vests and guarded Yazidi rape slaves. She's not just defended the horrors of ISIS, she's directly implicated in them. And now that it's all gone to ruin, she wants to come home. And the political left have almost unilaterally decided to support her cause. Because of course they have. Their usual argument is that Shamima Begum is one of ours, so she needs to come back to England to face justice here. And I'm going to be brutal about this, because that might be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard. Let me spell this out quite plainly. If a British citizen commits a crime in America, then they don't come home to face justice here. They are extradited to America. They are tried in America. They are sentenced in America. And they are then imprisoned and punished in America. That's how the legal justice system works. That's how it's always worked. So Shamima Begum's deranged little fan club are actually attempting to subvert the principles on which the justice system have been built, while claiming that they're doing so in the name of justice. The British justice system has been set up to try crimes that have taken place in Britain, and it requires a very high standard of proof. It's not possible to ascertain that proof with crimes committed in Syria, where the evidence and witnesses are not available, and where British police have not been given access to build a case. So if Shamima Begum did come back to Britain, like these congenital idiots insist she must, then the case would be dismissed, and she would walk free. And she knows that, which is why she wants to come back. And wouldn't that send out a great message to the world's Islamic terrorists? It's also a bit weird that the same people who say Shamima Begum should be brought home because she's one of ours are absolutely insistent that Prince Andrew should be extradited to America for his alleged offences. I mean, isn't he one of ours? Seriously, people. Make your damn minds up. Because you can't argue for both of those things. It's one or the other. Now, the other thing about all her cheerleaders is this. If you're defending Shamima Begum, then you're defending ISIS. It's that simple. You not only have zero idea about legal jurisprudence, but you're campaigning on behalf of the worst terrorist group in human history. Because ISIS are significantly worse than the Nazis. I mean, they didn't have their act together like the Nazis. They weren't as well equipped or as well led. They didn't constitute as much of a threat in those means. But they were worse human beings. And if you want to scrap hundreds of years of legal precedent just so that you can let one of the vilest terrorists in human history get off with it scot-free, then you might want to think about adjusting your priorities, or checking that your moral compass isn't completely knackered, if you even have one. Now, Shamima Begum was recently given a spot on Good Morning Britain with Susanna Reid and Richard Madeley. And this was cheered by the same woke idiots who would have raged about no platform for hate speech if Breakfast TV had interviewed Tommy Robinson or J.K. Rowling. Because this is how inverted the values of the left have become recently. If you suggest that face masks aren't terribly effective against COVID, that Earth might not collapse from climate change in 10 years, that maybe 10-year-olds should be exempt from radical transition in surgery, or that there should be some sort of cap on immigration, then you will be deluged with hatred, and attempts will be made to silence you and to get you fired. But Shamima Begum? Oh no. She's a victim, and they won't hear a word against her. There'll never be complaints about giving airtime to extremists when it comes to her. No. There's nothing but sympathy and support. And this young chap's a particularly striking example.
You know, every time the Shamima Begum thing comes back up, it reminds me of how utterly I despise Britain. The fact that this girl, who was groomed into joining ISIS and then raped as a 15-year-old girl, somehow has to come on national television and ask for your forgiveness as the British people. Because we all know who the British people are, don't we? White British people. Because it's always the same people in the comments to these videos. It's the people who think this is their country and therefore they have the right to say whose citizenship should be revoked and who shouldn't. Because obviously she shouldn't have joined ISIS. Because the Britishness of people of colour in Britain is conditional. Shamima Begum owes you nothing. You're mad about Shamima Begum joining ISIS because it was against Britain. You don't care that ISIS was literally created by the UK and America invading Iraq and disbanding the Iraqi army. Or the many atrocities of the British state. Bunch of racist, I swear to God, fuck.
He seems rather racist against white people and British people, doesn't he? He's got a point though. Islamic terror was definitely created by the invasion of Iraq. I mean, I can't think of any Islamic terror that preceded that. Can you? I'm just drawing a total blank. Anyway, you can be sure that these same useful idiots would fawn over Shamima after her inevitable mistrial. There'd be features in The Guardian and on Channel 4, podcast with Novara Media, and anyone who expressed disquiet would be damned as a gammon lowlife. Shamima, they'll say, was groomed. Weird. They never had any sympathy for the thousands of white girls groomed and raped by gangs of Pakistani men in towns across the UK. It's almost like their views are determined entirely by people's race rather than their actions. But here we are. We're lectured by a moral elite who consider their virtue and intelligence to be unassailable. Yet they've got more sympathy for ISIS than they do for the victims of ISIS. And they want us to put her on trial? I agree. Let the Syrian Kurds try her. I have far more faith in their ability to judge this issue than in the demented remnants of the British left. That's for sure. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in these topics, I've written 2 books which go into them in extensive detail. They're called The Tyranny of the Left, and they're available on the links below. Please feel free to pick them up and let me know what you think. Thank you.